This episode of the FTW Podcast has been brought to you by FTWLive.com. We record every episode of our show in front of a live studio audience. Check out FTWLive.com to see how you can get involved in this discussion, as well as all upcoming discussions.
FTW Podcast.
And welcome everyone to a very special edition of the FTW Podcast, the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. This is the TNA Destination X pay-per-view special recorded live on Thursday, July 5th, 2012, directly after this week's live Impact. With me, as always, is Rob. Say hello, Rob.
Hey.
Lee. Say hello, Lee.
Hello.
And I am Garvin, and I'm also manning the boards. As you can see, Harrison and Joe are not with us tonight, but that's okay, we'll move on. Because on tonight's show, we'll be reacting to tonight's Impact, as well as preview this Sunday's Destination X. If you're new to the show, check out FTWpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved in tonight's show, as well as all upcoming shows. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, voicemail, text message, and email. All of those links and information is listed there, so just go to FTWpodcast.com. Alright, let's start off with Impact, Rob. It just went off the air. We finally saw the big interaction between Robert Roode and Austin Aries. That's obviously the big match that they're building up. They're also continuing to build up the new X Division Championship tournament that they're holding right now. What stood out to you this show, Rob, about Impact and as we go into Destination X?
The biggest thing that stands out to me, I think, has to be the whole the whole pool of talent that they've had for this X Division tournament. I mean, they've got some really good talent that I'd never heard of before, like Flip Casanova, Kenny King, who I was a little bit familiar with but hadn't really seen in action before, Rashad Cameron. We've been having, they've been having strong competitors week in and week out throughout this thing. So I'm really liking that because, as we've said on this podcast a lot, the X Division is really what drives TNA's product forward.
And also, besides those guys, we also saw Flip Casanova qualify. He defeated Dakota Darso. Also Kenny King, who has made a name for himself in Ring of Honor, as well as the rest of the indies. He qualified against Lars Only. That brings us to 7 guys in this X Division tournament, if you include everyone that qualified last week and everyone that pre-qualified. So we have Zema Ion, Kid Cash, Doug Williams, Sanjay Dutt, Rashad Cameron, Flip Casanova, Kenny King. After tonight, any of the new guys stand out to you?
I have to say, both Kenny King and Flip Casanova stand out. I would go with Flip Casanova more than Kenny King because the moves this guy was able to pull off were just insane. I mean, a standing flip into a leg drop sit-down attack, and then the 1.5 rotation shooting star press that also ended up in a leg drop. I mean, both of those moves were phenomenal, and I didn't see a lot of downside to Flip Casanova. So I've got to say I like what I saw with him. Kenny King and Lars Only had a great match, but there was that one big botch in the middle that was so bad that even Taz didn't bother covering up. Just said, I don't know what the hell that was, but it sucked.
I'd probably say that was probably the best match of the whole X Division, the 4 matches they've had on Impact. I mean, Kenny King, for me, he may have had a little bit more experience, but he is the standout man to me.
Yeah, I think overall, all 4 guys showed some greenness, showed some, awe of being in the spotlight, live Impact. Obviously, that's gotta be tough to go right into. But overall, they all did really well. let's also talk about the other matches that they were building up. AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. They continue to push that. Anything jump out at you with that match that's worth discussing today?
Nothing that we haven't already really talked about. I mean, we're seeing just more trading words between Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles, building up to a last man standing match. I like that they tried to push the actual match stipulation itself. I think a lot of people, thanks to the WWE, a lot of people kind of underestimate the last man standing, and they don't really take it seriously. I mean, it is a dangerous match. It does require a lot of cardio, and it's going to put a lot of stress on both AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, so I like that they actually brought attention to that.
What about you, Lee? Anything jump out at you with that match?
I think it's more of the same, really. Trying to build it up, not to the main event level extent. I do wonder, though, why do you reckon they haven't made it a Bound for Glory match? Is it because it will break the 15-minute time limit?
I could be wrong. I don't think Christopher Daniels is in the Bound for Glory tournament.
I don't believe he is.
Is he not? I could have sworn he is.
Yeah, I don't think he is. We can double check that. But
it might be me. It might be me. So,
outside of that, there was a lot of stuff that they were doing to build up next week's Impact. Something that you don't see very often. You don't see the Go Home show do much more than build the pay-per-view that we're going home to. Instead, we're seeing lots and lots of build-up for next week's Impact. And obviously, I mean, we do the podcast every Tuesday, so we're going to talk more about Impact itself. I know a lot more happened than just the build-up to Destination X, but this is the Destination X special. So let's just go right into the Destination X card, unless you guys have anything else that you want to bring out today.
No, not really.
I'm just glad they didn't bring Claire as much into Impact as this week. I really thought they would crack on with it this week, but I'm pretty glad they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, the way it was built up, it sounded like they were going to make the announcement, like AJ was going to finish that story tonight. Luckily, that didn't happen, because I think that would really have taken away from Destination X. So it kept some of that focus on the pay-per-view itself. Alright, so Destination X, it is this Sunday. We did some of the predictions earlier this week on episode 121. Now we've got a much more complete card, so we're going to go ahead and just run down the card real quick, and then we'll go match by match. So far, what we have right now is the X Division semifinals. Like we said earlier, there was 7 people qualified in total. Zima Ion, Kid Cash, and Doug Williams, they all got free passes because they were already with the company. Then we also saw Sanjay Dutt, Rashad Cameron from last week, and then tonight we saw Flip Casanova and Kenny King qualify. The website says the X Division match will be an 8-person. This is only 7 people, so maybe things have changed, but we probably won't know until Saturday, because TNA refuses to keep their site updated for whatever reason. So it's likely we won't really know until we get much closer to the pay-per-view itself. Other than that, we also have Christopher Daniels versus AJ Styles in a last man standing match. Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe in a BFG series match. Like I said, outside of the X Division qualifying tournament, we also have the X Division championship match itself. And in the main event, Bobby Roode versus Austin Aries for the World Heavyweight Championship. So let's go right into it. Earlier this week, on episode 121, we had already thrown our predictions down for the X Division semifinals of the tournament. Joe and Harrison all picked Zima Ion. They have not changed that pick yet, so that's what they're going to go with. No one picked Kid Cash. Rob, you went with Doug Williams. No one chose Sanjay Dutt. Lee, you were with Rashad Cameron. And then obviously tonight there was Flip Casanova and Kenny King. Are you guys going to change your vote now after what we saw tonight?
Go ahead.
First, Rob. No, you first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as big a fan as I am with Doug Williams, I don't see him winning the tournament. If for no other reason than the fact that the final match is going to be an Ultimate X style match that they were pushing, and Doug Williams doesn't really have the training or the background to compete in that kind of match. So I'm going to go with Flip Casanova, and I'm going to say that that he's going to end up winning the tournament.
Lee?
I'm going to go with Kenny King. I think he has really stood out of all the 4 matches we've had on Impact. He's been the guy that looks like the most able to get himself in the TNA ring. He doesn't look that green as such. He did have a couple of problems there and then, but he relished the role. It was some good wrestling, some solid wrestling. He looked bigger than the other guys as well. Whether that's just the X Division rule or not. But I think out of all the guys there that could carry that belt, I bet he could do it best.
Yeah, Kenny King definitely showed a huge spark that's been missing in the X Division. I was definitely impressed with him as well. And I'm just going over the Impact Wrestling website right now, and I just wanted to verify this. They are doing 4 singles matches. So the 7 people that are qualified right now and this mystery 8th person, if they're still going to be involved, they will take that down to 4 people, and then the Ultimate X match to decide the X Division Championship will be just 4 people. So let's speculate a little bit, because that's what we're doing in the live chat right now. Everyone is throwing out some names of who that mystery surprise 8th entrant might be. I'm seeing names like Petey Williams, Joey Ryan, possibly someone that we haven't seen yet, or maybe even someone who's on the roster that just hasn't been used in a while. I'm not sure who that would be, though. But anyways, out of those names, or any names that you guys can think of, who do you want to see in this match, if there was going to be an 8th person?
I'm going to probably stick Alex Silver in there. I think this is kind of a good time for him just to kind of come in and maybe build on, where he's actually, he's not been around for a bit and get his name relevant again. Seems to fit quite logically because he's done nothing, let's face it. Joey Ryan, I'd say no, just because it would break the whole storyline that they're doing with him right now. Anyone else come to mind? Not for me. Rob?
I would go with Alex Silva. I would agree with that. I'd also like to see maybe Amazing Red make a comeback.
Ooh. Took a blink of that one.
Yeah, the only issue with an Amazing Red is that he, realistically, he just had a tryout match with WWE. It sounds like he's pretty high in their minds. On some kind of upcoming project if they do like that cruiserweight thing, but regardless, I think Amazing Red's out. Alex Silva.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying I'd like to see.
Oh, sure. But the idea that I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think we cut up there a bit.
The idea of Silva making his official TNA debut here. That's awesome. That would be a awesome debut for him. But I don't know if they would necessarily push him very far. He might be in that final match, but could you see them even considering putting a title on him?
Not right away, no.
No, probably not. He didn't look... Well, he's probably the worst looking guy out of all 3 matches that we've seen, so probably not, no. But it'd be a good experiment for him, just to see what he's learned as such and where he's been.
Okay. Well, next up on the card is Christopher Daniels versus AJ Styles. On episode 121, Joe and Lee, you both took Christopher Daniels. Rob Harrison and myself, we took AJ Styles. Rob, anything that has happened between the last episode and tonight that will make you change your decision tonight?
No. After tonight's Impact, I'm even more on the side that AJ Styles is going to win.
And Lee, are you still siding with Christopher Daniels?
I think yes. I'm going to say yes, just because Styles seemed to. It was a good enough promo tonight. It was. There's something about it that just seems like they've still got more to do with Dixie, AJ, and Claire, and Daniels will do something and get his way out of it again. I don't see it being, the pay-per-view for him to actually beat Daniels clean and everything to be alright again. I think Daniels will get his. Plus, the last pay-per-view as well, they lost to AJ and Kurt, so.
Sure. Now, overall, I mean, if you look at the reaction that the IWC is giving this whole saga that we're getting between Daniels and AJ and Claire and Dixie, are you guys as upset with how they're progressing that storyline? Do you wish they would just stop it and move on to something else more productive? Lee?
No. I'm not sure. AJ Styles did an interview yesterday and he said that the TNA realised it was a disappointment. They realised it didn't go as they expected, but they did say they're going to have a backstory for Claire. They're going to make her relevant. They're going to make her so we know about her, so we have an emotional connection with her. But for me, it didn't come out very well, and I'm not really sure trying to recover it's the best way forward. I would rather just scrapped it and moved on, but I suppose you can't really do that. It's not. I don't know. It doesn't fit the flow of TNA right now. They're doing so many good things, and then they do something stupid like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to side with Lee here. I mean, on one side, you can make the argument that it fits, that the storyline works in with the character gimmick of Daniels being jealous and envious of AJ Styles, but Daniels is a good enough wrestler that he doesn't need the help of a specific storyline to really push that. He's been able to do that by himself. And I think they've really handled and rushed things with regard to Claire. I mean, we don't really have background on her. There's really no reason to care about who she is and how she ties into things. And it's clear that TNA did not prep her to be on the mic before she got on the mic, and that's really hurt the storyline. I think TNA would be kind of best ending the storyline probably as soon as possible.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they just threw her out there, give her the lines to read 2 hours before and just, there's your situation, there's your script. Then, even when she came out, she didn't look like she knew what the hell she was doing, really, did she? I mean, it was just a cry. And,
it did feel very awkward. But
yeah,
TNA is known for awkwardness. There's at least 1 or 2 points of feeling out of place just about every show they do, for whatever reason.
Well, and to a certain extent, that I think that kind of helped the storyline a little bit as much as it hurts it. I mean, because it adds believability. I mean, it's fairly obvious that it's fairly obvious to me that this Claire is not a professional wrestler, not somebody who's had any kind of real acting experience whatsoever. I mean, she looks like somebody who was literally picked out of the crowd and say, "Hey, would you like to be on TV? Okay, we just need you to read these lines when we tell you to, okay?"
Yeah. But I bet if she was any good, though, she would have been on last week's Impact more, and this week's a hell of a lot more than she was.
Yeah.
Because it just died. You saw people in the crowd just head down, like, oh, just get me away.
Alright, so thinking about what they're going to do next, I mean, where do you see this going past Destination X?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, the hard thing about the storyline is, there's good and bad in it, but at the same point in time, when you're talking about professional wrestling, it's all about crowd reaction, and I have to agree with Lee, because I felt the same way. I mean, most people in the crowd are dead silent, at looking down, or at or just generally feeling really uncomfortable. Not quite sure to make of what's going on and wondering why this stuff is being brought out on a wrestling show. So I think if you don't end it at Destination X, I think you definitely have to end it in the next pay-per-view cycle.
Yeah, I don't think they'll end it at Destination X, because I think that's way too soon. Because if they're planning a backstory, I think the problem TNA have is that they're going to have the crowd have made their mind up as such about Claire. Like, the hell is she? More importantly, who cares? They have a real problem making that emotional connection with the audience, and if they don't do that, they'll be screwed. There's no point even carrying on the storyline. But I don't know where they're going to go for it. They've really backed themselves into the corner with this one. But go on.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like they're really, moving towards any type of resolution or conclusion, or even like a major conflict. Like, from the live chat, we're getting, other than, just the bad acting, while the story is silly and full of holes, it really isn't damaging anyone. And that's the truth. I mean, it isn't like picking AJ apart. It isn't really doing any more towards the Christopher Daniels character to make him more of a quote-unquote heel. I mean, it just seems to just be plateauing.
I think it damages the product, though, as such. If you've watched the actual segment itself, then the next week you saw AJ with Claire in the ring, you're just going to turn it off if you don't like it. So I think it kind of hurts more towards the ratings-wise and more towards who tunes in.
Yeah. I mean, when you go the way that TNA's been going the last few months, pushing Wrestling Matters and pushing all of these good storylines, and then you come up with something that's just a real miss like this, I think a lot of fans that would turn it on with TV would be like, well, shit, if I wanted to watch something like this, I could go over to the WWE.
That is a great point, and I was just about to say something similar. TNA have been pushing the wrestling side, like Arno with his I Want Wrestling hashtags, really, really good stuff. And then then this time they've gone from wrestling to soap opera. They've gone to do exactly WWE style for the soap opera storyline, and it's just not paid off.
Yeah, and I think one of the other major issues with this whole story is that it's AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. That's what it's been for as long as any of us can remember. It's like that's the only heavy feud that those two have had consistently, and it's like they're just trying to figure out new ways of forcing that onto us. And while they do have good matches, they don't really need stories like this to push that. So I think that's really what is the most disappointing of this, is that it's just like this pointless story that doesn't really do anything, and it really hides the fact that what we should be looking forward to is another good AJ versus Daniels match.
It's interesting. Sorry, Rob.
No, go ahead, Lee.
I'm just going to say it's interesting though, because the situation it's not the same. But if you look at WWE, their two top wrestlers, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, are fighting over a woman as such, and the TNA fans, if you want to be like that, will argue that this is exactly what WWE are doing, but to a lesser extent. They've got a woman involved with two of the biggest wrestlers in the storyline, but it's just not paid off for TNA, and WWE have managed to get the right connection.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Garvin's right. I mean, Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles, TNA has done this feud so many different times.
Yes.
But their characters are not changing in any way. They're still the same characters. You've got AJ Styles being the face. You've got Christopher Daniels being the heel, who's coming off, like I said, being envious and being jealous of AJ's success. It's the same old storyline that we've seen from these two. They don't really need a specific story to push it. To me, one of the things that really disappoints me about this storyline is the storyline seemed to be brought up as a way to explain why Kazarian stabbed AJ Styles in the back, and they've kind of gotten away from that. They've kind of given up trying to explain, okay, we're going to explain why Kazarian turned his back on AJ Styles, and now they're kind of refocusing it. It seems to me that TNA is half giving up on the storyline already. They realize it's not working. But my question is, if you realize something's not working, why not? Why do you keep trying to fix it? Why not just find a way to end it as painlessly as possible?
All right. Quick question before we move on, and that is that really the fault of the writing, or is Kaz just that uninteresting?
Oof, that's a good question. I think you can make an argument for both cases. I mean, Kazarian is an awesome athlete. He's played a huge role in TNA. He's invented new types of matches. He's really helped build and push the X division forward. But he is and always has been shit on the mic. I mean, the guy has no charisma on the mic. He really can't connect with people at all. And on the other hand, TNA creative writing has been hit and miss. Sometimes they put together an awesome storyline that has you just like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then sometimes they put together storylines that's like, God, will you kill me now?
Yeah, it kind of compares, not to go too much into Impact tonight, but goes back to Madison Rayne and Earl Hebner, where that one came from, and it was it's just a mad decision, a real mad one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the chat is pointing out that, TNA is known for dropping storylines in the middle of it. You can look at Angelina and Winter as like a huge illustration of that. The Devon Pope feud as another illustration of that. So,
Crimson?
Crimson, yeah. But at the same time, like, you have to look at if that's, a Kaz situation, because he has failed just about every storyline they've put him in. But who could really succeed in this kind of storyline? I'm not sure anyone could.
No, I don't think they could. I think it's a weird one. And it's a hard one as well.
Yeah, it's a very hard storyline to nail down. Anytime you're working with people who aren't trained actors or aren't trained professional wrestlers, it makes it a lot harder on the people who do have that training, because you have to be prepared to carry them. To me, the biggest problem I see with this storyline, outside of Kaz being involved, outside of creative dropping the ball, whatever, the biggest thing, it seems to me, was like, it seems like there was another plan for the storyline, and that plan, whatever it was, fell through, and ever since then TNA has just been almost making shit up as they go along, and whenever you get into that spot, you're in trouble.
True. Alright, Daniels versus AJ Styles. What do you guys think that this will be the match of the night?
Nope.
It has the potential to be, but with some of the other matches on the card, I don't think it will.
It's a testament, though, saying that these two guys who we know can perform great matches, it's not going to be the match of the night. It really shows a lot for wrestling in terms of that.
Alright, well, speaking of other matches on the night, we also have Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. This will be a Bound for Glory series match. We took predictions on episode 121. Lee, you were with Kurt Angle, and you were by yourself because everyone else said Samoa Joe. So, Lee, go ahead, defend your reasoning for picking Kurt Angle.
I remember at the time I didn't really have a reasoning, and I'm still trying to think one now, because there's not really much that really was achieved. There's not really achieved tonight, rather, with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. So I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. Samoa Joe recently he seems to have been pushed again, and pushed. So I'm really tempted to switch it. In fact, I am going to switch it. I'm not going to be tempted. I'm switching that.
Rob, your thoughts on this match?
This is one of those matches that could be the match of the night. I have high expectations for this match. I'm excited as hell that they're finally pushing Samoa Joe again. Really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think this probably will just about take the match of the night. I can see Bobby Roode and Austin Aries doing a hell of a lot of good as well as AJ and Christopher Daniels. So
Sure, and it looks like a lot of the live chat is also going with Samoa Joe. My reasoning for choosing Samoa Joe is the fact that in an interview this week, Kurt Angle was talking about retirement and how this is his last few years in TNA, how he might even retire in the other company. So
the other company.
He could be in a position now to really put over a guy who has needed it, who has, competed his ass off, and for some reason has been looked over for so many years. Now this is a time that he could really push Samoa Joe into that upper echelon of the company. I think this is a time for him to do it now.
Well, he's had enough time to do it, hasn't he? He's had what? It's been 5-6 years where it probably should have happened. Realistically, I mean, at one point it was, but
well, at the same time, you look at who was being
WWE
pushed as the top guys in the company. You had Sting main eventing. You even had Angle main eventing. So now that Angle's theoretically in the last few years of his career, now is a time that he can really dedicate to pushing the younger talent.
He's in the Chris Jericho position, I think. He doesn't need the win. He doesn't need necessarily, to do great mic work. He just needs to put over other guys. I think he said it perfectly there, Garvin.
Yeah, and from the live chat, nobody pushes Joe better than Angle. They always have quality matches. Samoa Joe always looks stellar.
Yeah.
So, do you guys see this being the match of the night, Rob?
It definitely has the potential. I'd like to say Aries versus Rude will be, but given the way they've got Rude's character going at the moment, I find that hard to believe. I think Angle and Joe will be the match of the night, yeah.
Lee?
Yeah, I'm with Rob. All the way. These two, we are well aware that they produced fantastic matches. One of them was the second best in TNA, and it was one of the best matches that you will ever see for a long time. So I'm absolutely for this match being match of the night.
Yeah, I agree. On paper, that's definitely the top match for me outside of the main event. It's the one I'm most looking forward to, for sure.
Is it the Bound for Glory?
Yeah, it is for the Bound for Glory series.
Yeah, I suppose the one drawback there is the 15-minute time limit. Just because we know they can go longer.
That's a good point. I wonder if they just did that for TV time limit, or if that also covers the pay-per-view.
I presume it covers the pay-per-view.
I also presume that.
I would assume so, because the way they mentioned it when this began was that all Bound for Glory series matches are 15-minute time limit. So I would assume that means house show, TV, pay-per-view, whenever the match happens, it's 15 minutes.
So does that change the your prediction in the quality of the match? Is the match going to be deterred by the idea that it's only 15 minutes?
Nah. Usually I would say yes, but Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe can give you an epic match in under 15 minutes.
I agree, but I also disagree, just because there's other people on that card that we know will excel, and it is Austin Aries' moment. It is his night that night. That's what's got me thinking about it.
Yeah, but the problem, like I said, with Bobby Roode versus Austin Aries is they've got Roode as being the heel that takes shortcuts, and that draws down the quality of a match a little bit. We'll have to see how they do it. I'd like to see Austin Aries and Bobby Roode be match of the night, because I'd like to see Austin Aries win and walk out with the belt. I think he's earned it, but we'll have to see how that goes.
All right, we'll get into that a little bit, because you brought up something that I want to ask you about. But all right, so this match, now that we've said that there's a 15-minute time limit, and if that's the case, how likely do you think it is that they won't have that match end? That they'll build that match up, to build up Impact like they have been?
You mean have Angle and Samoa Joe go to a time limit draw?
Yeah. And maybe have a rematch next week on Impact.
I could see it happening.
Could see it happening, but I'd be very annoyed.
It'll piss the fans off, but I could see them doing it.
Yeah, it'll definitely upset the people on Twitter. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Paid $55 for this. It's on Impact.
Hey, I'm on Twitter. Thank you very much, and so are you. You're going to upset me.
All right, so only two other matches on the show. The X Division Championship match, again, which we've already talked about. Two things that I want to throw out there. The first is, after we moved on from that match, the live chat was still going, and they were throwing out names like Low Key. Is it possible that they may bring a guy like that back, or maybe a Jay Lethal?
I would love to see them bring Jay Lethal back. Low Key, I don't see them bringing back at all. Jay Lethal would be awesome.
Jay Lethal's probably the more possible one because he's gone back to Ring of Honor, I think.
Correct.
So he could be. I don't think they'll do it, but could do.
Okay. Outside of that, one thing I noted, and I think we touched on
actually,
this.
Sorry to cut you off, Garvin. I was
Go
just
ahead.
thinking of something. Jay Lethal actually could be a good pick here because the last time I remember Sanjay Dutt being in TNA, he and Jay Lethal had one hell of a feud that ended in one of the better ladder matches that I've seen. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to bring Jay Lethal back and maybe gave us Jay Lethal versus Sanjay Dutt in one of the semifinal matches.
Well, let's rephrase this. Are they going to bring... If they did this, would they bring back Jay Lethal or Black Machismo?
Jay Lethal.
Alright, so outside of those two guys, let's touch on the idea. I was talking about this on Twitter. I don't know if we brought this up because I was half paying attention. But the new guys that they did bring in, they did show signs of being very green, being in awe of being at the Live Impact. Do you think that the management of TNA will ignore that fact and put them in a high-profile, very dangerous spot fest of a match like this match that they're going to go into? Or do you think that they'll instead just push the veterans that have been in those types of matches before?
I'd be very, very tempted just to push the veterans. We saw the bloody nose broken. Well, said it's broken nose earlier on. That to me looked scary. Really
yeah,
scary.
and normally I would say TNA would be willing to push the new guys and give them a chance to excel right away and everything, but they did that with Zema Ion and Jesse Sorensen, and Ion probably ended Sorensen's career by the two of them making a mistake. Ion making a mistake on the moonsault, and Sorensen being just a step out of position for the catch. So TNA could be a little more cautious about pushing the new guys.
Yeah.
Given how fairly recent Sorensen's injury was.
Yeah, you say that, but then look at 2 weeks ago when Ion was involved in the match that Sabin tore his ACL on. I mean, he was supposed to catch Sabin and the awkward landing. I mean, that could be looked at as maybe another infraction by Ion.
Yeah, that made me very nervous when I saw that. I'm like, okay, in the span of not even 6 months, really, Ion has been involved in 2 very serious injuries to 2 different people in TNA. I could, if I were TNA management, I would be very nervous about pushing young guys.
I'd suggest Ion would probably go out in the one-on-ones. I don't think they'd give him the Ultimate X style. just because of what Rob said.
Okay, and it should be noted that the live chat is suggesting that maybe Jesse Sorensen is the 8th participant. But, like Rob said,
there's no way.
That was
No
in
way.
February. Yes, he has been seen backstage without the neck brace, but there's no way. There's no way he'd be physically ready to return to the ring, especially in that type of match.
Right.
Wishful thinking, but that's about it.
Maybe, and I can't stress maybe enough for a normal match, but for an Ultimate X match, there's no way you can push him into the ring just yet.
Hell, pull a Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Kurt Angle did manage to win a gold medal with a broken neck.
Yeah, Ultimate X is nothing compared to the bloody Olympics. No way.
Alright, live chat is pretty much saying it seems like everyone's hopeful that Austin Aries will walk out with the title, but most are expecting Robert Roode to win. I know episode 121, we discussed it. Lee, you were the only one that said Robert Roode would win. Everyone else was on the Austin Aries bandwagon. So let's get into it. The main event. Lee, you chose Robert Roode. Why?
I see where everybody's coming from with Austin Aries. He is on such a roll. I put it on Twitter. It's one of the best things in wrestling right now. You know, he's come through everything. He's come from the Ultimate. The X Division title. He's had some great mic, really, really great mic work with Bobby Roode. They have absolutely pushed him to maximum, but I don't think he's going to win it because we said it earlier. Bobby Roode will get out of anything. Austin Aries looked good at the end of Impact. Go back to Booking 101. That suggests that Bobby Roode will retain. Bobby Roode has still got legs yet. He's been built up for a reason. I can see where everyone's coming from because he gave up the X Division title for it, but I just do not think he's going to win the match. I really, really don't.
Yeah, it's definitely wishful thinking.
I think Austin Aries will win the match mostly because it's like I said Tuesday night. If you do it now, there's enough time to have Bobby Roode chasing the title, which can build up his heel character even more, give him a lot more momentum going into it as the BFG series winds down, and you have Storm win the BFG just as Bobby Roode reclaims the title, and then you've got the two of them facing off, at Bound for Glory in October. Personally, I think that would make for a much better storyline, and it gives Austin Aries his time in the limelight, which I don't think there's a serious wrestling fan in the world who will say Austin Aries doesn't deserve to hold the belt at some point.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with you. I think that storyline sounds a hell of a lot better. But I think the person to beat the streak, I think this has been the plan all along, and I stick by it, is going to be James Storm. They will build him up. They've got about 3 months yet, and Roode will do what he's been doing, sail past his opponent, whatever he does, be a deal, probably be it might even be a clean finish, but a cheap finish, or something like that, to keep building him up, to keep the fans on him, to keep things, oh, God, in a good way. But it's James Storm. It's not Austin Aries. I get Austin Aries. I like him. He's brilliant. Really, really, really good mic, but not this time.
From the live chat, it makes no sense to give Aries the title yet, as they had the BFG series rebuilding Storm, and to pull the rug out from under Storm like that will deflate any hype for him. Yeah, I kind of can agree with that, but at the same time, I mean, we're talking months of BFG series. That's not going to be over until October. So, regardless of if Roode has a title or Aries has a title for the next 2-3 months, there's still time to build Roode versus Storm for that title. Exactly.
You've got, as of right now, you've got about 3 months, because Bound for Glory is October 14th, I believe it is. this Sunday, you're looking at, with this Sunday, it'll be the 8th of July, so you've got about 3 months where you can give Rude the title back. I don't think Rude losing the title will hurt him at all. He's got a character now where he can rebound from it and can move on nicely from it. I think you can do a lot with the storyline.
I cannot disagree with you at all, but I just cannot see them booking Aries to win. I don't know why. It's just they've got the whole Sting thing going on with Hulk Hogan. I suppose that's a bit separate. Sorry, it's 4 o'clock here. They've got the way he's been built up. He's been built up and built up and built up, and to get the advantage over Rude, nailed it for me. I cannot see him giving him the title. It's going to be another one of those lockdown moments with Storm. You know, you think you're going to win the title. It's all set for him to win the title, but in the end, it just doesn't happen.
It could be. I mean, as we were talking about earlier in the show, TNA doesn't always do what would be the better storyline.
Yeah, your reasoning is a hell of a lot better than mine. I will agree with you on that one, but I just cannot see TNA giving it to him.
Yeah, I think it would be strange to just go ahead and put the title on Aries. I think he'd be an amazing champion, but it doesn't necessarily fit. At least with the timing.
Yeah, I also think this is his first shot as well. It's his first real shot at it. And there's been a lot of guys who, you can argue, at the time, and this is at the time, were better and in a better place to win it than him.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify for the live chat, they were bringing up when the Bound for Glory series actually ends. The winner will get the main event at Bound for Glory. So that was an accurate statement. I was incredibly wrong on that. So apologize. But yeah, at the same time, look at Austin Aries. If he loses, A, does he lose cleanly, and B, what do they do with him now? Like, how do they continue his momentum if he loses this match?
They can get another match out of it, I reckon. I reckon they can do exactly the same at the next pay-per-view and you'll still buy it. You know, if you're a fan. They can go down the same route as such. For some reason he wins, you know, even if he wins number one contenders and, you know, he gets another shot. But I don't think he'll lose cleanly. I think there'll be something in there. I don't know what, but there'll be something.
Yeah, and if Rude wins, that definitely makes him like the most dominant champ TNA has ever had. Like, not even talking about reign, just the type of people that he has beaten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the bigger. If they keep going with him, it's the bigger sell for James Storm in the long run. Because I know where you're coming from, where if Austin Aries gets it now, then he'll lose it in 2 months. But in 2 months, he's only just got the title back again, and it's not really. It is a big. Don't get me wrong. It will be a big enough backstory as such. But it'd be better if he kept the title, and, you know, he was the one to nick it after all this time. Yeah,
but like Garvin kind of alluded to, when you take a look at this match, when I take a look at this match, I'm looking at, can Bobby Roode afford to lose this match? Can he afford to lose the title? Yes, it won't damage his character at all. TNA still has a way forward. His character can still go forward. He can still have an epic feud with James Storm.
Sorry,
and all of that. When I look at Austin Aries, can Austin Aries afford to lose this match? Not really. If Austin Aries loses this match, he loses a lot of momentum. TNA now has a huge problem as to how they're going to fit him into a crowded main event storyline already. And it will damage his character a little bit, at least a little bit, depending on how he loses the match. So I see it as kind of a, now that they've gone ahead and booked this match, I see it as almost they have to give Aries the win.
I'm just going to ask Garvin why you have changed your vote.
I have changed my vote because I think I like the story better with Rude winning. Like I said before, I'd love to see Aries as champion. I think he'd be a great champion. but I think it makes more sense to continue the build with Robert Roode versus James Storm at Bound for Glory.
It's just one of those where you're not sure, which is good. But
yeah. But this is the match that we've been wanting for however long he's held the title. This is the match that we've been asking for. But then Storm got injured, I think twice. He took that time off right when he was about to get the shot again. So this is the match we all pretty much want to see.
I suppose another thing is not to downgrade the pay-per-view as such, but would you give the title away after such a lengthy title run at Destination X? Just for the pure name Destination X. The only reason I say it is just because would you not want to do it on a bigger profile pay-per-view? I know how bad that sounds, but...
Well, now that you say that, I mean, it does... that does put an interesting twist on it, because if you don't have Aries win, then that shows that the X Division is not as good as the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say, too. I think now that you're starting a new gimmick, that whoever is the X Division champion has the chance to surrender the X Division championship belt and get a shot at the world title at Destination X. I think you have to kind of, for lack of a better term, do the Money in the Bank scenario. I think you have to give Austin Aries the win here to show that it's possible.
Yeah. That's a really good point. It's a really good point, because if he doesn't win, I suppose it makes the concept look like, oh well, maybe it's not going to happen after all.
Yeah.
That's a nasty one to throw in there.
Okay, sorry. We just got some breaking news in the live chat. I'll get to in a second. But at the same time, we don't necessarily know how the end of the match would be. I mean, Aries could lose, with holding of the rope or some kind of cheating that would bring on a second match or something later on. So, for sure, this isn't going to be over after this event.
No,
you guys agree with that?
It's not going to be over after this event. I think there's still at least another match in this. At least they could push this, and they don't even have to do the best match now. They can save it realistically. But now that Rob has said that the cashing in aspect as such, Money in the Bank style, that's really got me, because if they loses, it makes it look really silly. But if he wins, obviously it makes it look a really success. Damn.
Alright, so here's the breaking news that we just got. Mr. Lucha Libre noted that Dixie Carter just sent out a tweet. That tweet said that all of the losers in the X Division qualifying tournament will compete at Destination X to fill that last spot. So there won't be any other big returns. Who we've seen is going to be in the tournament. So maybe we'll see Rubik's get a push in. Maybe Darso if his nose is healed. So there might have been a shining star in that pile of losers. We'll find out. We'll find out on Sunday. So, anyways, thanks for everyone in live chat for keeping your ears on Dixie Carter and Twitter. All right, so that's the card. We got just a few more minutes left in the show. We've gone over every single match. Overall, on paper, do you guys think that this show will compete with how great we thought Slamversary and Sacrifice were? Lee.
On paper, it's got one hell of a lot of potential, hasn't it? The one concern I would have is that the X Division guys who are looked pretty green on the 2 episodes of Impact, that's my worry, because something really dangerous could happen if they don't be careful. So they've got to practice. But Daniels and AJ Styles is going to be a good one, clearly. Angle's Joe, we don't even need to say it's going to be a good one. And Rude Aries is, you said it, Garvin, everyone's wanting to see it. So on paper, this has potential to be the best pay-per-view that they've done this year. Do I think it will, though? Depends how each match finishes for me. If they do like a cheap storyline at the end, everyone will just go negative on it. I would say it would be up there. I don't think it would be the best, but I think it'll be up there.
Rob?
Yeah, I definitely think this is going to be worth buying. The only spot of concern, as Lee said, is they're going to be relying a lot on the X Division, and half of the people in the X Division are very green, very new, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how things play out. But yeah, as I look over the card, I think that it'll at least hold with how TNA pay-per-views have been going the last couple of months. Might even be better. Remains to be seen.
See, very, very quickly, it's a bit of a weird decision by Dixie to get the 8th guy from the losers, because all the losers are essentially not Bar Kid Cash, he won. They all looked like they didn't belong in the match as such. They all looked way too green, so that last guy could be dangerous.
Well, the guy that Rashad Cameron beat looked pretty good. He didn't look as green as some of the other ones, but yeah, I agree. Some of the other ones could be bad choices here. We'll have to see how that all plays out, and hopefully TNA will book it veteran versus a new guy, so that there's a chance that if the greenness and inexperience shows up, the veteran can kind of carry the match.
Yeah, very, very quickly as well. They've got to be careful. I'm just looking. They've got how many matches they've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it 9 matches they've got?
Yes, counting the X Division Championship match.
It's pretty big cards. So there's going to be some short matches as well.
Yeah, you got to expect at least 1 or 2 of the X Division matches to be short, and Samoa Joe and Angle can only go 15 minutes. So yeah. I think that's going to work out.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the show. Realistically, if Destination X even meets the par that they set for Sacrifice of Slammiversary, TNA is on a great wave. It's like they continue to get better, or they continue to outdo themselves, and it's very nice to see, considering what we've been used to the last couple of years. So, anyways, that's the show. Want to send out a quick shout out to a Facebook group that we're a part of. It's called TNA Where the Big Boys Play. I didn't name it, but it's facebook.com/groups/TNA Where the Big Boys Play. It's basically TNA fans meeting on Facebook to talk about the shows. Some great conversations over there. I just posted a link in the live chat, so definitely check that out. Again, to find more about us and how to get involved on upcoming shows, you can visit ftwpodcast.com. We also need your help we need you to rate our show on both iTunes and Stitcher. We want to get up higher in the list. So don't worry about money. Don't worry about supporting us financially. Help us get higher in the ratings so that we can get more viewers and more people in the live chat every week. That would be fantastic. We will be live tweeting Sunday's Destination X as always, so you can find us on Twitter at FTWPodcast. Lee, you also will be live tweeting, correct?
I will be live tweeting. It is at WNSource, which is WrestlingNewsSource.com, if you want my opinions and views, which will probably go out of control.
Yeah, definitely check out WrestlingNewsSource.com for all your news. And once again, thank you everyone in the live chat. You make these shows fantastic. It gives me something to read while Harrison or Lee are bickering about what country is better.
God damn it! I was just about to give a shout out to Harrison. Just about to. God damn it!
It's unneeded. All right, it's unneeded.
just for the record, Harrison, I love you, man. I hope you had a great day yesterday. I've just seen you like something on Facebook, so where the hell are you?
Seriously, he's having dinner. But anyways, yeah, our next show is this upcoming Tuesday. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on ftwlive.com, as well as mixler.com/ftwpodcast. That's the show. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. No, we'll see you on Sunday for Destination X.
Good night.